So I got some mail today, a few packages that I've been expecting, and I think that you all will find these to be pretty interesting. Bubble wrap, there's a box inside the bubble wrap mailer. I've got 3 packages. We'll start with cutting open the first one. So any other collectors out there is waiting for mail and opening packages like this with Joe stuff or other toys. Does this kind of remind you of being a kid on like Christmas morning or your birthday? Opening packages. All right, this first package. Let's see what we got. Wow. So this is something that I was not expecting at all. My buddy that I had do this work for me, he sent me some unopened GIJoes. Check these out. Looks like a storm shadow and a snake eyes. These are pretty cool, man. Thank you, brother. So I like collecting carded figures. For me, a lot of it's just as much about the artwork of the card as it is the figure. But we'll get into that in another discussion. But I like having some figures either recarded on reproduction cards or mounted onto custom cards. The figures mounted on the custom cards, those were figures who were never released carded. And yeah, there are people who make custom artwork for the cards. They produce the cards, and you end up with a really nice custom piece like this. This is the Worms driver, and this figure was never released carded, but I had one that was mint and complete, and had seen online. I think I saw it on Instagram. This card art, and I thought that it was super cool. So I had my friend mount my mint figure onto the custom packaging, and this is completely custom. It was never produced, and it's not reproduction. But you have a file card, you have a bunch of the figures that were out at the time, Starduster, Payload. Yeah, just check it out here. And a lot of people really like for these cards to say reproduction or whatever, but this is not a reproduction, it's completely custom. And the figure that I had was just absolutely mint. I mean, I don't think this figure was ever played with. The antenna is a difficult piece to come by, and this is all original. My allergies are just absolutely tearing me up today. My band played a show in a field party last night, and I'm paying for it today. So the other figure from that package, yeah, this guy takes super special care in packaging everything that he sends back. I'll send him a box of loose figures, and he will send me back several boxes with carded figures. So now this one is a 1982 straight arm Scarlet, repackaged on reproduction packaging. This thing is absolutely beautiful. Figure is mint. I don't think there's hardly any flaw whatsoever to this figure, and it looks just as good as it would have originally in the package. The original crossbow, the card art, you can tell on this reproduction packaging that the card art is not as I guess you would say it's not as vibrant as what it would have been on the original. I think they make these from scans of the originals that are then fixed in Photoshop. But there are a lot of different little telltale marks that show you that these are reproduction. If you look on the back, right down here at the bottom, it says reproduction packaging. And if you find, I mean, this is like way too perfect, bright, vibrant, new looking card for it to ever be, you know, manufactured in 1982. Plus the way that the bubble is glued on, the originals have, I'll be able to show you at some point in a future video, but the original factory packaging has almost a waffle print from where the machine presses it onto the card, and you'll see like an imprint of the bubble where the machine pressed it onto the card. Yeah, this is really cool. Couldn't be happier with it. You know, having an original factory 1982 straight arm scarlet mint on card like this would, the pricing on those is just, it's outrageous. I'm not gonna spend, you know, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 on a single figure, but for my collection, I want it displayed on a card, and this is the best way. This is the most affordable way to do this. You know, these cards run $15 a piece, roundabout, and my friend charges me a set amount per figure to give the figure a thorough cleaning and mount them on the card. And to me, it's very, very well worth it. You know, I don't even remember what I paid for this figure. I bought her on eBay, but looking at her, she is, I mean, she's damn near perfect. She is in as good of a condition as she would have been, just, you know, coming fresh out of a package. So super thrilled with that. That's awesome. I'm pleased with it. If anybody's interested, you can message me on Facebook or shoot me a message here, comment below. I'll post a link to one of my friends' eBay auctions, or I'll help you get in contact with him if you're interested in having any figures mounted on reproduction or custom packaging. He does a phenomenal job. I've had several pieces done, and I've bought several pieces from him. So on to package number 2, I had 6 figures carded, and all 6 of the figures are I don't want to, they're not necessarily like higher end or anything, but they're older figures, some 82s. Had a fun school figure done. Let's see what we got here. Bubble packaging. Oh, this is my Cobra Commanders. Nice. So I have a third one that I have to get done. Yeah, dude, my whole body hurts right now. First off, we have the 1982 straight arm Cobra Commander. This guy is another perfect mint figure that I was able to pick up. Comes, you know, he has the gun, and you know, this is again custom packaging. I'm gonna have to do my research. I don't think this guy was ever actually released on a card as a straight arm. I think that the Cobra Commander was only a mail away option. But I mean, he's a great looking figure. The straight arm Cobra Commander, I'm pretty sure, was only a mail away option. But again, there are telltale signs that this is not factory packaging. The just the look of the card, the look of the images on the back, they're kind of stretched a little bit to fit. And then, you know, the card stock, you know, you can see that the I don't know if I can get it to show here in the video, but there's just a look to it that's, you know, that it's not factory. It's there's no way it could be. But 1982 Cobra Commander, this is the straight arm version, and I'm getting a glare or a reflection there on the screen for the bubble. But I mean, his emblem is perfect. There's zero flaw to this emblem at all. This guy had perfect paint. You know, the only wear that he had was just a barely noticeable on just around the rim of the shoes. But you know, this is again going to make an awesome display piece for my collection, and I like my figures displayed carded. Moving on, I have another Cobra Commander. This is the 82-83 swivel arm version. And he's not necessarily perfect. The swivels for his elbows have a little bit of discoloring to them. But otherwise, this figure was in great shape. It had the perfect emblem on the chest, no wear marks. The belt buckle is good. The stripe on the leg is good. No paint wear on the feet, really. The only paint wear on the feet would be like just around the rim of the shoe sole or boot sole. And yeah, you know, all these repro and custom cards, they're punched, but this little piece here has never been popped out or anything. It's still intact. But yeah, custom and reproduction cards are a great way to display your figures if you prefer them carded. You know, there's something like this. It just makes a really neat display. That's what it's about for me more than anything, is the display. Having a perfect mint figure, or as close as I can get to that, and having a nice display for it. That's what I like in my collection. Move on to this third box, which this one has a pretty neat piece in it. So I don't remember. I know what one of these figures is, but I don't remember what the other one is. And again, my friend does an excellent job with packaging to make sure that your items do not get damaged in shipping. Excellent job. Oh, okay. Now I see them and I know what it was. So, everyone's favorite G.I. Joe character. I say everyone. He's not necessarily my favorite character because I have my own beliefs as to what they did with it, but so I have a 1985 Snake Eyes. Complete, 100% complete, with timber, his backpack, Uzi, sword, all original weapons. on reproduction packaging. You know, this figure goes for a huge amount of money, carded. I'm not gonna pay that. I'll buy a nice mint figure. I bought this one, I actually snagged this one up from an auction before the auction actually started at a toy store. And, you know, I saw that he was a great figure. I ended up having to find a good timber, because everyone knows that timber, well, maybe not everyone knows, but timber has a tendency to lose a leg. And I've had several of them with broken legs. But yeah, we have a good timber and a perfect mint figure mounted on reproduction packaging, and it looks brand new. Yeah, 1985. I don't think that you'll ever see anything from 1985 that looks as clean and crisp as this. Yeah, it's obviously reproduction, but has all the figures listed back here, and you know, your file card and everything. But again, a great way to display your figures. That figure, actually, I've seen it climbing in value here lately, and yeah, that's good for people who, I guess, are selling them or have invested in them to sell them. I'm not really into selling off my personal collection. Everything's got a price, of course, but I'm just not really into the idea of selling off my personal collection. So this is kind of a neat concept and a neat figure. This one is a Fun School India Snake Eyes, or Secret Service is what they call them. Here in the States, Snake Eyes was a commando, and this is an 80. This is like a version of, it's made off like 83 swivel arm Snake Eyes mold, but this version has silver paint on several parts of his body, marking his equipment, his visor, and stuff like that. This is reproduction packaging. Probably more custom than reproduction, because I don't think that everything on this is exactly the same as it was for the original. But you know, this Fun School series, they're getting a little harder to find. The card back, Fun School card backs are very thin and flimsy. This card back, it's not thin and flimsy at all. It's the same card stock as these others. Yeah, I don't think this is marked reproduction, but there's enough custom aspects to it that I don't really think that there's a need for it to be marked reproduction. On the back, it shows you some of the figures for the Fun School series, and you've got the Fun School file card. And this figure came with an AK-47 originally and a black stand. The black stand that I had is not a Fun School stand. This is just a regular Hasbro black stand, but they look the same. Some of the Fun School stands had clips on the back where you could stick a file card. The one that came with this figure did not have that. It was pretty much the same. I think it was exactly the same as just a regular Hasbro stand. Let's see what else about this figure. The same figure was also released as a character called Street Hawk version 1. There are 3 versions of Street Hawk, which I'll show in a later video. One of the versions of Street Hawk I have carded, but this guy was released as a version of Street Hawk, and he came with a motorcycle, a helmet, and a visor. But yeah, the Fun School Snake Eyes, very cool figure. I have some friends who really get into the collecting of the foreign GI Joes, the foreign variants, And you know, you're talking about some stuff that gets really rare, hard to find. You know, a lot of this stuff in the United States that was manufactured here in the States. Some of those things are hard enough to complete, and people will spend years looking for accessories and whatnot that they need to complete these figures. And you know, they're just impossible to find. Either not very many of them were brought into the United States, or people bought them up because, you know, I remember Fun School GIJoes being super just dirt cheap on eBay, and you could buy a bunch of them for a little or nothing. And now Fun School carded figures are going for like 15 to 20 bucks a piece. I still buy them once in a while. I don't open them. I'm not an opener. Just my personal preference. You know, like some of my friends like to give me shit and make fun of me and call me a purist or an elitist or whatever because I don't open my figures and I collect MOCs or mint on card figures. But you know, that's one way to ensure that if you buy a mint on card original figure, that's one way to ensure that you're getting a factory mint perfect figure. You know, it's not so that I can brag that my collection's better than somebody else's or anything like that. It's just, it's how I've always collected. It's how I've collected since I started being a serious collector at around age 13 or 14. And you know, I was buying Joes that were on sale in like dime stores and shit. You know, that old stock that just never sold. And you know, I was still buying carded figures from like 1990. And you know, I'm 35. I was born in '82, and you know, I was buying figures that had been on the market for a few years, mint on card, and just not opening them. I stuck them in totes and boxes and whatnot. And I still have all of them. But back onto this guy. These Fun School India figures, that first original series of them, there are some variants, like a variant of Stalker, you know, that go for a lot of money. This guy, I'm not gonna try to own an original of this mint on card. It's just more than I want to spend on it. This is custom, reproduction, whatever you want to call it. For me, it makes a nice piece in my display. And that's it. Well, guys, if there's anything that you would like for me to make a video on, if there's anything that you would like for me to talk about, review, or get into with some of these videos, please give me some feedback and let me know. I'm going to try to keep each one at about 20 minutes or less. I don't want to run into an enormously long video or anything like that. But I do want to grow the channel and grow a community. We have a Facebook group called the GIJoe Den, and in the den we allow sales and live videos and discussions. And feel free to hop on the GIJoe Den on Facebook, join our group, and see what we're about and have some fun with us. So I'll be seeing you all again here soon.